Welcome to Instant Deck Techs. The aim of this series is to give you a short, concise guide on how to build a certain deck. It won't cover every card, but we'll go through all the categories and go over the types of cards needed to make the deck work. Any card mentioned will be down in the description below. The commander of this deck is Liesa, Shroud of Dusk. She is 2 white/black for a 5/5 legendary creature angel with flying and lifelink. Rather than pay 2 for each previous time you cast this spell from the command zone, pay 2 life that many times. Whenever a player casts a spell, they lose 2 life. Commanders with built-in cost reduction have traditionally been very strong, and I don't think Liesa is any exception. While Liesa's effect is symmetrical, we'll be running some Lifegain and Drain effects so that we come out ahead. All of the categories in this deck will be running cards that have these style of effects on them. Cards that drain our opponents will be great in this deck. They will do the best job at widening the gap between our life totals and our opponents. You want to run at least 8, but you can easily run more if you have them. Cards that cause our opponents to lose life will also help break the symmetry. Run more of these if you have less drain effects. And cards with additional effects other than just life loss will be better. Cards such as Nixilis the Hate-Twisted and Athreos God of Passage. In a similar vein, we can also run some effects that gain us life. I've recommended less of these dedicated effects, as these come up in other sections as well, but these are all great budget options to any deck that cares about life gain. We can run some cards that pay us off for gaining life. The more drain and life gain effects you have, the more of these you can run. Our commander does have lifelink, but apart from that, we will be relying on other cards in the deck for these to pay off. So as such, I wouldn't run more than 6. We can run some effects to help keep control of the board. I'm a fan of effects that synergize with the life gain, life loss style of this deck, so these effects all need to tax our opponents in some way. You can run up to 8 of these effects in the deck. You can also run some more traditional hate bed cards in this slot. I'm not as much of a fan of these if I'm honest, as I like cards to synergize with the deck as much as possible, but you can definitely take the deck in this style of direction if you like, in which case you can run more than 8, but I wouldn't run more than 16. Our card draw will also be linked to either life gain or life loss. Don't be afraid to lose life in order to draw cards. Remember, it's not greatness at some cost. Get greedy in order to get yourself ahead. You will make the life back later. Run at least 8 cards in this slot. This is also a great deck for Bolus's Citadel, as it will give us card advantage and then late game it can be a win condition if everything else has gone to plan. The ramp in this deck will be a bit more traditional. Look for the best rocks that fix our colours. Outside of this, Keeper of the Cord and Smothering Tithe will be fantastic. Hopefully Smothering Tithe will see a reprint soon. Run at least 8 of these in the deck. As we're in black and white, we'll have access to the best bits of removal available to us. I would recommend running some cards just because of their efficiency, but then run some cards like Erebos' Intervention and Fumigate, which will help with the rest of the game plan. People will try to kill our commander. I would run at least Lightning Greaves and Swiftfoot Boots, but you can run some other cards as well if you think your meta is likely to have more answers to her. We can also run some cards to help bring our creatures back from the graveyard. The normal Reanimate style effects will be good in the deck, however I consider running these style effects, which bring things back, but can also help put us ahead of our opponents in terms of life total. If you have access to Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth, then you can run a Swamp Matters sub-theme in this deck. Expedition Map will tutor it up, and Cabal Coffers and Cryptghast will generate us a ton of mana. Unfortunately, Cabal Coffers isn't a cheap include, but hopefully it also sees a reprint soon to make it more accessible. And with Urborg out, if all our lands are swamps, we can also run Lash Wraith and Nightmare Lash, so our evasive commander can swing through for a commander damage win. On the topic of winning, we can also run some dedicated X spells which we want to cast as late as possible to help finish off our opponents. The Wound Reflection reprint has made it more accessible to players, and will work great in this deck as it doesn't hurt us, but punishes our opponents. And like Lash Wraith and Nightmare Lash, Hatred will be a death blow to our opponents. As we're a 2-colour deck, we can run some utility lands. I'd only run 4 that don't tap for a colour of mana, but look for effects that help give our deck additional answers and some added redundancy. This video was a request from a viewer. The next couple of deck techs you will see will also be from requests in the comments. If you have a deck you'd like to see, please let us know. If you like the look of those, please consider subscribing. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.